Hey, Stephen Ritter here again. So, posted a video a couple of weeks, well, a week ago or so, about my first my driving lesson with Bucky, and it just brought back some good memories about some more car stories. I'll share a couple of those with you today. I appreciate all the support and all the comments, and everybody's been very kind and gracious, and I very much appreciate that. Folks have asked me, why I'm doing this, and I've said it before on an earlier video, but Mom asked me to. She asked me to keep it going. She has that local church school with Pastor Renee, that really was on her heart, and she wanted this to keep going, this legacy to keep going, just to help support that as long as it would go. So I enjoy doing them, and these little stories are therapeutic for me, and it gives me. I know my wife likes the idea of this being an event for some of my projects that I have always seem to be coming up with. So gives me a chance to do that. But I appreciate everything. One other comment that I remember that kind of stuck out. Somebody mentioned something about that I had something in my mustache for, and that I needed to get it out, that it was distracting. And no, I check it before I start. There's nothing in my mustache. And somebody else came in and said, no, that's just gray hair. It's not gravy, which I thought was pretty funny. So yeah, no, I do a gravy check before I come on video here, so you can rest assured. No, this is gray. This is gray. So anyway, I just thought that was kind of funny. So I try to read as many of the comments as I can, and I appreciate them very much. So I wanted to stick with the driving theme, because a lot of stories with that. Bucky, again, in the old Pinto wagon, I remember this is one thing that I learned from him. I remember when we got married, he had that Pinto wagon, and we drove that thing. We took that thing all over, and the car was, I think it was probably 5, 6, 7 years old, something like that. I mean, and I just remember at the time going, Bucky, why are you still driving this thing? This is just as old. And he's like, it's because it still runs, and it still runs great, and more importantly, it's paid off. And I'm like, oh, and because my dad, my Miss Phyllis' first husband, my dad, he was more of a did a lot of driving. 2 years, the car's about gone. I guess maybe from the 70s, the way American cars used to be made. I guess, but 2 years, after about 2 years, he'd start getting itchy and be looking for another car. And that's what I grew up with, and that's what I always thought about. And Bucky, that planted that seed, and then I got married, and my wife is very frugal as well. But she, I said, well, you're always going to have a car payment. You're always going to have a car payment. And she goes, no, you don't. If the car's paid off. And I'm like, and I would have like, something would go wrong with the car, and I'd start kind of going, oh man, I'm gonna have to start putting money into it, and a water pump would go out, and that's $400. Oh, and I would think back about that, and think about what Bucky had said, and planted those seeds, and it's like, wait a minute. How much is a water pump? About $400 at the time, however much they are now, who knows? And somebody's like, well, how much is a car payment? I'm like, ooh, yeah. And anyway, that I just always appreciated that. That was the first time I ever saw that. So the other story, another funny one, is I was coming back from college. We were still living in Columbia. I was coming back. I had my car at the time, so this was sophomore year. I was driving back, and I'm driving into the neighborhood, and I was coming along, and I passed my mother coming out. Miss Phyllis coming the other way, and I'm like, ooh, we both kind of stopped, and we stopped, and then I'm like, okay, I'm gonna back up and talk to her, because she was kind of sitting there, and so I threw it in reverse, and then I just kind of looked, instead of turning around like, this is back before backup cameras, instead of turning around like I was always taught, I'm just backing up, looking in the rearview mirror, and I kind of punched it, backing up, and backing up and trying to steer, and this car started doing this number, and I backed up right over one of my neighbor's mailboxes, and it wasn't like one of those brick encased things. It was just the old pole with the mailbox on the top, and I backed up over the top of that thing good, man, and pushed it right on over to the ground. I'm like, oh no. And the guy, like, I could hear the door open, and I get out of the car. I thought Mom was gonna be furious, and I hear her door open, and she's laughing like nobody's business. She was laughing, and the guy comes out, and the guy was mad, because I just ran over his mailbox, and I'm like, I'm sorry. And he's like, well, you're gonna pay for that. And my mom's just still laughing through it. She goes, don't worry, we'll pay for it. And he's like, well, you're gonna pay for the labor too. She's like, yeah, whatever. I just think she was glad to have a good laugh. I thought it was, I was scared at first, but it kind of surprised me. I was like, well, I mean, I guess it was kind of funny. I mean, looking back now, it was funny. It wasn't too funny then. But anyway, mom got a big kick out of that. So a couple of little memories. Just wanted to pass along to you again. I'll just kind of keep these coming. And I appreciate everything. And I appreciate you all and all your kind comments. So take care.